So we're gonna take a little trip down memory lane real quick. This is my first camera that I ever got. Film camera. It's a Canon EOS 10S. I used it in high school photography class. I was honestly terrible with this camera. After I got into digital photography, I went with the Canon Rebel T2i, which I think is kind of what I'm hearing is like the de facto for a lot of people who got in photography around the 2010. It's like that nostalgic camera that you get when you get into photography. And I mean, I even have this 50 millimeter, 24 millimeter tied onto it. So really good cameras, great production. I use a lot of the photos that I took with the Canon Rebel T2i, honestly, still on my website and showing clients things and presentation and things like that. So this was an amazing camera. Not many megapixels, entry level DSLR. You can get some great shots with this. And then upgraded to a mirrorless system. So went with the Sony A6000 and primarily used it with this Rokinon 12 millimeter lens. But, I didn't think it was enough for me. I got some phenomenal photos with this camera as well. And I actually still use it sometimes when I'm filming vlogs in the field and just playing around if I want a lightweight camera. Look at the size of this thing. It's so small and goofy, but it really packs a punch. 24 megapixels, but that really doesn't matter that much. Then I upgraded to a full frame mirrorless, got the Sony A7R II a few years ago. And great camera, love using it, but at the same time, I'm producing photos that are literally the same quality as the Canon Rebel T2i, and even some of the same quality as my old film camera. All this to say, none of this stuff matters. None of this stuff makes you a better photographer. Yeah, it helps you in post-processing if you want to crop down or something like that. But for the most part, none of this stuff matters. You don't have to buy any of this stuff. Use what you have and save the money that you're going to invest in gear on trips, on going to some of these amazing places. I think one of the biggest things that a lot of photographers experience is regret. You spend all this money on gear that just sits on your shelf and you never go anywhere to use it, and it becomes a paperweight. Like, don't do this. Don't invest in all this stuff. None of this matters. Really work on your composition in the field. Really work on expressing yourself as a photographer, creating your style, quote unquote, whatever that means, and get out and create better photos that make you say wow and that make you want to go take more photos. Because when you dump a lot of money into gear like this and you're not taking better photos with said gear that you thought would improve your photography, now you're getting into territory of disappointment, resentment for not only the gear but yourself, because you spent that money on it and it didn't get better. So really look at what you're doing and what you're spending money on, because where your money is where your heart's going to be. I would rather spend it on going places and experiencing things and trying to work with compositions and creating those memories in the field. Look, I have a lot of gear, I'll say it, but really I use a camera and primarily two different lenses, a zoom lens and a telephoto lens, and that's pretty much it. From all my experience as a photographer, the number one thing is none of this matters. Your enjoyment of the craft matters, and your execution of composition matters. Go out and execute and live your life.